Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior Podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Okay, friends, here we go. This is our last episode in this series, and I want to leave you with some lessons learned, and also, more importantly, I want you to take care of yourself. But I'm going to share with you some things that really helped me and some of the things that I do in order to cultivate joy in my life throughout this very, very difficult time. Now, let's get into the how, as a caretaker, do I even take care of myself when there's no time, there's no opportunity, and there's no space for me, or so you think. First things first is what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. If you're driving, obviously don't do any of this. But when you have a moment, I want you to get into a chair and I want you to sit back in the chair. I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and exhale. And I want you to do that several times. So big breath in, exhale out. And I want you to pay attention to where's the tension in your body. Are you really and truly letting your belly hang out? Are you relaxed in your face? Are your shoulders relaxed? Continue to do that breath work until you kind of loosen up your body. Let your feet touch the ground. Really spread your toes out. Relax your shoulders. Roll your neck around. Identify where those tension points are in your body, because I want you to become more aware of the situations that happen that cause that tension to come up for you. That, for me, became an incredibly powerful exercise because I was able to start paying more attention to the events and the things that were happening in my life that caused me tension and stress. And I had to work on working through how to get rid of those things. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you. You may be thinking, Ebony, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for myself. I don't have time to go on this luxurious self-care spa day or do any of the things that you're about to tell me to do. And I agree with that to an extent. No, you don't have to have a crazy, expensive, luxurious spa day, although that does sound nice. Not gonna lie. That sounds amazing. But I believe that there are little things that you can do throughout your day that bring you joy and that you can do to take care of yourself. First things first, eat something. Drink water. If you have to put an alarm in your phone to remind you to eat every couple of hours or to drink water, do that. Because you're not going to be any good to anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. You and your loved one can't be in the same hospital at the same time. That does not work. I have seen it happen, and I was pretty close to being that myself. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you can listen to a favorite playlist, do it. Dance like no one is watching. It's really fun. I do it all the time. I do cartwheels in my apartment and down the street and in the park sometime and when I'm at work. Do I recognize and understand that I probably look utterly ridiculous doing it? You bet I do. But I do it anyway because it makes me happy. And it does not matter what your definition of what makes you happy is. It doesn't matter what that looks like to someone else. All that matters is, did it achieve the goal of you feeling good, even if it was just for 2 minutes? If that is the case, do more of it. Lately, I have a neighbor in my apartment complex who I see every couple of days. He is a puppy, and he makes me incredibly happy. And it is something about someone or something that is excited to see you that you can just rub on, and he completely and totally just jumps all over me, and I love it. It makes me think about getting a dog of my own, but I'm just not there yet. If I could co-parent with someone with a dog, that would be great. So if you know anyone, let me know. If you're someone that likes to knit or crochet or draw or sing, do that. I'm pretty sure some of you, myself included, I used to be in a choir since like middle school. And there are times when I hear myself and I'm like, whew, sis, do a couple me. No, that's way off pitch. Don't do that. Go drink some water, try again later. But, it's going to be rusty for you for a second. Trying to keep that tone and that pitch and going back and even reading music was a challenge for me. But at the same time, it was so rewarding when I dusted off my old books and you go back and you watch those videos and you see yourself in that beautiful dress or dancing or all those things that you used to do. Go back to that and reminisce on it. And it's nothing wrong with dusting off those old things. If that brought you joy, if that made you happy, try it again. Craft. I like to make cards. Cards are very, very, very personal to me. And I enjoy being able to send someone something that makes them happy. So I do that. But I want to read something to you. And this is from Lara Casey's book called Cultivate. And she has us walk through an exercise in her book. And I want to say it out loud to you. And I want you to write this down. You can always, take this episode back a couple of seconds so that you can get to it. But here's her prompt. And I want you to do this exercise. So one of the things that really struck me was she writes, cultivators share their hearts without fixing what feels messy in the same sentence. We tend to do that, don't we? I often do. Here's what's going on in my heart, but I've already figured out how to fix it. I'm good. I don't need help. I've got it all under control. Don't try to clean up the mess right now. Just let it be. Get out your honest thoughts and give others the same gift without trying to fix them either. In order to grow something new, first evaluate your growing ground. And here's her exercise. It says cultivate it. Let's look at the big picture. What are you most rooted in? Here are some possibilities. So what I want you to do is take out a piece of paper and a writing utensil when you have a moment. And I want to give you a little bit of context because one of the things that she teaches on is cultivating what matters and having a cultivated life. And she gives this analogy of when you're tending your garden, you tend to bring up rocks and roots. And sometimes when you look at something, it's not what it seems. And then you pull up a weed and you see how deep the roots are. Well, a lot of times when we're taking care of someone, you don't necessarily look at them from the perspective of all of the deep-seated things that may be going on, that may be triggering for you during this time, but you can't quite identify it. But when we start tending and tilling the garden, it's really amazing what tends to come up. So I want you to walk through this exercise. Get out a piece of paper, get out a writing utensil, and now let's look at the big picture, as she says. So I'm going to read it again, and I want you to think about it. So she says, look at the big picture. What are you most rooted in? Here are some possibilities. Circle those that describe what your foundation is made of right now. Fear of the future, anxiousness or worry, uneasiness, a sense that there is more to life than this, expectations from others, restlessness, distractions, grief, hope, joy, peace, and contentment. The list again is fear of the future, anxiousness or worry, uneasiness, a sense that there is more to life than this, expectations from others, restlessness, distractions, grief, hope, joy, peace, and contentment. She continues on to say, what did you discover in your soil? Rocks, thorns, old roots? Maybe this soil evaluation has shown you that fresh nutrients or all new soil are needed. If you feel like you just released a dump truck of dirty, messy imperfection, what I'm about to say might surprise you. I'm excited for you. The more lifeless soil you have, the more opportunity there is for God to nourish your soul and to grow new things. There is great opportunity right in front of you to turn what feels lifeless into a flourishing garden. Don't get stuck in the mud. I was there once too. I felt like my mess was so big that it would take decades to dig through it. I was convinced that there was no way anything would change. But my soil started to transform when I let the dirt be dirt and I saw it for what it was. I saw the hard parts that needed to be tilled and broken up, and I saw the jagged rocks that needed to be tossed right out of my garden. So with that, friends, I want you to go through that exercise. And I want you to become very clear on the challenges that you're facing right now. And even if you're not a caretaker, just look at everything going on with COVID and the pandemic. Those can really and truly be a trigger for so many of us. And it can bring up old wounds and the roots are very, very deep for many of us, myself included. I mean, when I was in therapy this morning, I realized why certain things at work were very triggering for me. I had no idea until I said it. And in that instant, I was like, oh my gosh. And it's very easy for us to say, like, I thought I dealt with that. I thought I worked through that. I thought I managed that. But as my therapist told me this morning, sometimes we're able to process only so much at once. And she said, you did take care of and manage that aspect of that problem, but now you're stronger. And there's a different layer of that problem that you're working through now. And so it feels different. Even though there were aspects of this thing that you may have worked through or that trigger or that really difficult thing, now you're being presented with something completely different. So I went through and I did this exercise yesterday, and it was very clear to me that I still have some rocks and deep roots in my garden that I'm going to be working through. And I want to encourage you to not be afraid to be messy, not be afraid to just take a piece of paper and just scribble all over it. Write down what you thought that things were going to be like right now. And if you're not there, if you're not where you thought you would be, if you've ended up being this caretaker out of it kind of sort of just being dumped in your lap, that's okay. You may not feel like every day is roses and rainbows and it sucks, it's hard and it's tough. I get it. But at the same time, I want to encourage you. Because as I said before, when you cast that vision of what you want this season to look like, you'd be amazed at how much stronger you become and how it becomes a little bit easier to walk through the day-to-day. So I want to end this episode by encouraging you. Write down 3 things that you're going to do to take care of yourself in the midst of all of this. If you haven't already written down the vision for this season, do that too, because it will help you to get through this. If you need to do this with family or friends, definitely try it out. But I want you to know and understand that you're not alone. I know it's hard. I know you're frustrated, but you can do this. And with that, friends, be happy, be whole, and be well. Take care. Okay, Thyroid Warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.